2019 Z29, 230 Millbrook Lane. This is a request for a variation to permit a parking space in a side yard adjoining a street to permit the widening of the existing driveway.
Good evening, please. State your name and address and...
Okay, sure. Okay, hello everyone. I'm Zhu Zhao, the resident of 230 Millbrook Lane. So I'm here to apply the widening of the driveway because we want a parking space for the second car. And right now, our house has one garage which can take only one car. But right now we have two cars. And the location is a little bit special because, you know, our house located at the corner of 2th Street, Millbrook Lane, and the frontage road. So if we park the car on the street, there will be problem because we need to park the car at least 30 feet away from the corner, and that will in front of other people's house. It's really inconvenient, and sometimes they will use the space to park their vehicles. And the widening area is about 17 feet long and 8 feet wide, and that area will inside our yard and doesn't take any public space. And and that's it. So I'm sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. It's my first time in front of so many people. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Any questions? So
One question I had when I was driving, is there parking allowed on Briar Drive?
I don't know how to say that, but you know, this is the driveway and this is the house, so we just want to.
No, I
yeah,
understand
sorry.
the request.
Can you repeat your
I was
question?
just wondering because when I drove down Briar Drive, it looked like it was sort of a single lane in each direction.
Mhm.
But I didn't see a parking restriction sign, at least not on your block.
Yes,
Can
So
you?
you can park on the street
right now.
overnight?
I don't want to do that because in the frontage road is a little bit dangerous. So it's a really busy road. There are a lot of cars coming and go. So, and on the Millbrook Lane, if I park 30 feet away from the corner, from the stop sign, I need to park in front of other people's house. As most of the time, they will use that place to park their vehicles.
I noticed also that your neighbor at I think it's 229,
Mm-hmm.
has significant, not only the two-car garage, but in addition to the two-car garage, there's an additional
Yes.
pad, basically for 3 cars, right?
Yes. I don't remember how many cars they have, but they have multiple cars.
Do you know if they required a variation at all?
Of course not, because at first they have a big garage, and they can park their car on the vehicle in their yard, and also they can park their car on the street.
No, I was just wondering because they're similarly situated as you are,
A little bit different because we are at the corner, but they didn't.
right?
I have a question for Lisa really quick. He could have parking in the rear yard without a variance?
Right. If he extended the driveway back or further east, if he had a separate curb cut, for example, a parking space or even a garage could be put on the east end of the property behind that, whatever the side yard setback adjoining the street is. Yeah.
Got it, so new curb cut, concrete, 2-car garage, you know, 2.5-car garage in the rear lot without a variance.
Probably, yeah. Mhm.
Does everybody understand what Mr. Boyer is saying, that no variance option is
This
to...
area right here.
No, right here.
Oh, okay.
Either one.
Access from Briar with a new curb cut and the garage and the...
It would need to be set further back in the yard is the point, is that it? And that would conform to code.
Right, you can maybe draw it, sketch it, it's right here, right?
Yeah, if the garage was set back like 19 feet, that would meet the setback.
19 feet off of Briar.
Off of Briar, right, the side yard joining a street setback.
So that'd be much more impervious surface that we would be, that is permitted than what he's requesting. And I assume you have to remove part of your fence to do this, but the parkway trees are fine, they're,
There are no trees.
There is a tree, actually, just east of where your driveway expansion is,
Let's see.
in the parkway.
in the parkway, between the sidewalk and the street.
I hope we don't need to move the tree or some. Yes, I think the space is enough for additional parking space.
Do you think there was enough space there to?
I think there's going to be some effect on the roots, but they wouldn't have to take the tree out wholesale in order to put in 8 more feet of driveway. That was the one thing that I noted about it.
I guess there are plenty of homes in Wilmette that just have a one-car garage and one spot on the driveway as well.
So you're going from 5 feet at the edge to 8 feet at your property line, right?
Yep.
Roughly. Any other questions for the applicant?
I guess I don't understand we have to compare this to the standards. That's what our role is, and it doesn't seem like the hardship is that great if you can park right on the street there. Where I lived for a long time in Wilmette, you parked in front of other people's houses all the time. The one in front of my house, there was always some guy that took it.
Yes, but I
So-
think most of the time, if I park on the street, I need to park a little bit far away from our house because they need the space for themselves.
So how far are you talking?
Hard to
3 or
say.
4 cars away, or a block away, or?
No, because I don't want park because they have their driveway. I want to park a little bit
Across
far
from
away
it.
from the driveway, so I need to find a space. They're a little bit hard. The house at their area is a little bit condensed. There are multiple houses, and every family they have multiple cars. So sometimes I need to walk. I need to be very careful because I'm not sure that space they want it or not. So yeah, or to sometimes 100 feet or 200 feet away. That's it.
And I was under the impression, and I could be completely wrong about this, that you're not allowed to park on the streets overnight in the village from 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. to 5 a.m.
Certain streets.
Only certain streets?
Yeah, I know Green Bay you can't, and probably some of the other arteries, right? Is
Makes
that
sense.
true? Yeah.
Our street allows overnight parking.
Some don't, and I haven't figured out
The rhyme or reason.
what the rationale is as
Yeah.
to which and which are
But
not.
some do have restrictions for
Yes,
snow.
and snow, I know, a lot of streets have, I know. Millbrook Lane has a restriction. I read it on the shield.
Yeah, sometimes I'm a little bit worried because if I park my car in front of their door, they maybe feel uncomfortable. I don't know, but yeah, for safe, I hope I can park my car inside the yard and can be safe.
I'm surprised that they allow parking on the Briar because it looks like a divided highway almost as the frontage road. Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you. You can sit down and we will see if anybody has any comments on this, for or against. Please, state your name and address.
Dr. William Ernstein, 229 Heather. We are the one with the 3-car driveway, and that was grandfathered. We've lived about 52 years in our house, and it was there when we moved in. So that's the way we had it. I happen to be a car buff, so I do have some old cars in my garage. My main concern is water. His house, whether he realizes it or not, had a swimming pool in the backyard that was built maybe 35 years ago. There was somebody that rehabbed the house for the previous owner before him, and instead of taking the pool out, they just put fill in and then sodded over the fill. I have pictures on what happens in the rain, when it rains. In June, he probably had 3 inches of standing water in his backyard. And my main concern is adding any additional concrete or asphalt to that area is going to exacerbate the problem, and the water runs down into my yard. Again, we're in kind of a precarious position in that Eden's Expressway is a mile to the, or 1 block to the west. We have Glenview Road Hill, where water's running off of Glenview Road and filling up that culvert. We've had water and serious rainstorms all the way past our sidewalk. And again, any addition, the neighbor behind us just built a large driveway and a 2-car garage last year. So the Gottmans, who are directly south of him, we are directly east of him. We've experienced, our pump was running 30 days straight in June when we had, the large rain. And I was so worried. We had 2 pumps going for 30 days. I was afraid they were going to burn out. We were constantly replacing pumps to make sure that, so unless the village can solve the water problem, I'm very much opposed to having any additional concrete or asphalt anywhere near me, because I'm going to have additional water problems. But like I said, also this pool being filled in, and I have pictures of this, where we had standing water. Now, and not only is it a problem there, but we could also have mosquito problems with standing water. So that's a health problem also.
Do you have water in your yard currently?
It drains from, when he had the standing water in June, it did come into, through the fence and into my yard, almost to the driveway.
You have standing water issues now, and there were, significant rains in June. A lot of people had standing
Yeah.
water issues.
And then there's an empty lot across from me
So-
that also has about 2 or 3 inches of standing water. So, the main concern I have is additional asphalt or additional concrete is going to make this problem worse.
So on the pool side, did they?
Yeah,
did
the
they-
pool-
I don't need to see it. Did they cap it with cement, or did they just put?
I think they just put fill in and then put sod, maybe 4 to 6 inches of sod, or, and then that's that, because you will see that there's standing water pooling in his backyard. I don't know if he's had any problems with flooding or not, but I know the previous owner that only lived there about a year and a half had major water problems when he first moved in. He lived there about a week, and his whole basement was flooded.
Your basement?
Yours? Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we will let him respond whenever you finish. Are you?
Yeah, so basically, that's my major concern. I have no issues with him having the driveway or the garage, except for the fact that I'm concerned about water problems and standing water problems causing mosquitoes. And again, whether that pool, I don't know if has to be permitted or not. I don't know if it ever was or not. But the owner, all of a sudden, there was somebody that flipped the house, and all of a sudden they were putting fill in, and, in about 2 days, had the whole yard redone, from a pool and a deck to a sodded backyard.
Well, if they put fill in, that would be better than the clay that was existing, so it
Well, it's
should
not
have
clay,
improved.
it's a whole concrete.
No, but before that, there was
Yeah.
clay.
They go down 8, 10
Yeah.
feet, they're
Yeah.
gonna.
Oh, yeah.
they're gonna
So,
catch all
so the
water.
gravel should have actually improved the situation compared to.
Well, when it fills up, it seems like it wells out over the pool.
I guess you could remain up there for a minute. I have a question for Lisa. If this was a new house that he was going to build, could he have a driveway that would have 2 spots with it? If you can answer it, maybe it's too
Sure.
general.
Right, so a home requires 2 interior parking spaces. So if the house was proposed, or the way it is now, it would still need to meet the setback.
Somewhere there'd have to be a
Yeah.
second space.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to add one other thing. Presently, he's parking his car, he has a space where the garage door is, and he's, between the sidewalk and the garage, and that's where his car is now. So, granted, it may be a little inconvenient because it's like a tandem garage. He's got to move one car to get to the other car. But where the other way, he could go to the side. But the main concern I have is just the water problem there.
And what do you think about the parking on the street, the availability?
Well, basically, that it leads into Eden's Expressway, and a lot of people will take that as a entrance to get on at Old Orchard Road and get off. So there is substantial traffic, probably 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and again at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The rest of the time, it's not too bad. People do park. I mean, we have guests that will park in front of our house and haven't had a problem. Nobody's hit us in, I think, 52 years that we've been there. So, but there is a problem with snowplows. The car can't be there when the snowplows are coming through because it is a county road.
Okay. Any other questions or comments thank you very much. And I will let you come up again and respond to.
Yeah, thanks for your comments, because right now I know why we have the standing water problem. So that's really a headache problem, but I think the widening of the driveway will not affect it because there is, if you have the picture, you will know there is a little bit.
You need to speak into the microphone.
Okay, sorry. There is a hill between my house and your house or yard. There's a hill and high enough to stop the water going to that side. So if you have the picture, you can see that, or you can, yes, welcome to my house to see that.
So what you're saying, the contours are such that the water in your yard will not, does not flow into his
We have the
yard?
standing water problem as well. But there is a hill between my house and his house.
Okay.
And I don't think the water can go through that,
Okay.
that hill, yeah.
Any other comments, questions? Thank you very much. We will now close the testimony, and may I have a motion on this case? Where is it?
Oh, yeah, that would be my first time.
Mr. Pelleton.
I'm going to move to recommend granting a request for variation to permit a parking space in the side yard adjoining a street to permit the widening of the existing driveway at 230 Millbrook Lane in accordance with the plans submitted.
You have a second? Second. Mr. Boyer, second. Mr. Pelleton?
Well, I have to say that I did not check to see whether there was a berm in between the yards. I certainly understand about the standing water problem. I think that most Wilmette residents are very sympathetic with that. And it can migrate through, depending on how long it's standing there and how big the berm is and what it's made out of and all that kind of stuff. But I have to say that if the resident is entitled to two parking spaces, two off-street parking spaces, that I think, as you pointed out, this is a much less impervious surface than building a new driveway and a new two-car garage in the backyard would be. So my thought is that it is probably, while it will add more concrete or impervious surface, that it's probably the best of the alternatives.
Mr. Boyer?
My notes were, there's no, technically, there's no impervious surface issue. The garage is oriented in the side yard. There really isn't any other option. The codes, if we apply them strictly, it does create the hardship, and the by right alternative has a greater impact to the area. So I think it meets all the standards of review. It's not perfect, but I think it's a good solution with the less impact to the area.
I agree. I think it's the least intrusive alternative, and I think it meets the standards of review, and I can support it.
Go ahead.
I was just going to, go ahead if you're ready.
No, I'm listening.
Oh, okay. No, I agree. I mean, it's the least invasive option out there compared to building a new two-car garage and a driveway, which would probably be a challenge to get under the impervious area, I would think. So I can support it.
I too agree. I don't think I have anything different to add. You see plenty of houses in the area that have additional paved area. Granted, those homes don't, it's not, they don't have two, they're not adjoining two streets, but there are plenty of one-car garages there, and there seems to be accommodation to allow additional parking area off the street.
And I'd just like to add one thing that, if you built new, you would be required to have 2 parking spaces. So if it was torn down, that would be the situation.
I agree also with most of the statements here. I think hopefully you will instruct the builder to slope the pad toward the street so it doesn't impact your yard, much less your neighbor's yard, and I can also support it. No other comments? Can we take a vote?
She wants to.
Marie?
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. I just wonder, is it possible to add as a condition that it be a pervious surface that would allow rainwater to go through, just to minimize the impact that much more?
I don't know if we can require that. We can encourage that.
If you wanted to make a separate motion to make a condition on the recommendation, we could do that. Or if you want to ask the applicant if that's something they might agree to.
I think that in this case, since it doesn't involve a impervious surface variation, I don't know if we should impose that condition on the applicant.
I agree.
I agree as well.
Can we take a vote?
Yep. Mr. Pelletin,
Yes.
Mr. Boyer,
Yes.
Mr. Colang,
Yes.
Ms. Norick,
Yes.
Mr. Sermon,
Yes.
Ms. Choka Urban,
Yes.
Yes.
Chairman Schneider.
This is a positive recommendation, and I assume this will, when it goes to the Board of Trustees, it will be included in the automatic approval. But if you want to show up on the, let's see, to the board meeting on the 24th, you can. If you could, please could come up and sign. Sir?
I move to authorize the chairman to prepare the report and recommendation for the zoning board of appeals for case number 2019 Z29.
If you could
Second.
take one for me.
All in favor?
Aye.
So can you please call the next case?
Great. That was for you? That's for me. Okay. Okay, thanks. Oh, that was for you. Okay, thanks.
What? Why did you have special guests watching?
Our next case is 2019 Z30, 2041 Greenwood Avenue. This is a request for a 6-foot side yard air conditioner condenser setback variation and a 5-foot side yard air conditioner setback variation to permit the retention of 2 air conditioner condensers.
And before we start, they don't have to stay.
Oh, right, right.
You can leave if you want.
You don't have to stay if you don't want to.
I thought they were staying out of interest in this case.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm Kate Payton.
John Payton, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for your time. So you have our packet with a letter that we wrote. We moved here in May of last year and inherited some HVAC units that needed to be replaced during our lovely polar vortex. And we inherited everything. We replaced everything in its exact same spots. And we're here today. And not knowing the zoning law of 10 feet, Regardless, we're here today in the hopes that you understand that we were replacing something that was broken, that assumed had been okayed years ago by the people who built the house or who did the addition. We have a little bit of a unique situation on the back side of our house. I know you all have visited, I guess. But the back side of the house is actually built, there's 14 feet of slab that goes before you hit basement. So running compressors through 14 feet of slab doesn't work. And digging out a new basement after replacing 2 HVAC units is not financially feasible. So we're hoping that you all have some lenience on our request to leave our compressors where they were, where we found them.
So you replaced the existing condensers
With actually smaller ones and
with new ones
eco-friendly.
in the same location? How long ago did you do that?
This summer.
Did the neighbors object?
No, we have a letter actually here that's signed by our
Didn't make it
neighbor.
into the packet because she was
Okay.
gone for the weekend.
This is the neighbor to the west.
This is the neighbor
Correct.
who's
Right.
on the 6-foot fence that
Right.
separates our property from theirs.
And they, I'll look at it when it gets here, but they didn't object? Okay.
Correct.
Well, they.
So how did it come about that you were informed? Did the,
We don't know.
oh, you don't know, okay.
My HVAC contractor said you have to go see Rachel at the
Oh,
village.
okay. And they didn't inform you you needed a permit?
So that's an interesting concept, no. The 3 companies that we got quotes from, turns out 2 of them, having not lived here before, we were new to this, but 2 of them actually put pulling permits as part of their contract of work. And apparently this 3rd company that we actually did choose, we stupidly made an assumption that they did as well, and they didn't. And so I think that's the reason they came to us, because apparently someone tried to stop their work, and that's how this all came about. So we
This was the
did
inspector?
this.
I believe it was code enforcement, found it, yeah.
Just so you know, sometimes you might think it's a neighbor, but it might just be the inspector, and he might be at a house.
We don't know.
The inspector, it happened right across the street from me, and right away, the person said, oh, it's my next-door neighbor. They accused me of all this. And I said...
We don't know, and
I-
quite honestly, we don't care. We
Yeah,
just want to make it
but a lot of
right.
times, it's just the inspector being in the area.
Sure.
Inspector for zoning stuff, they always drop the materials off. So that he was in front of my home, and he saw 3 vans
Mm-hmm.
across the street, so he walked over on his own. So
I'm sure that's probably what happened.
So it probably just had to be a coincidence that the work was being done
Yes, sir.
at that time.
Any questions for the applicant? Any
I
more
got a quick
comment?
question for Lisa. Remind me, can we have a condenser in front of a window, or is that just a generator?
I'm not aware of any building code against that.
It's probably not ideal.
Not practice.
Right, yeah.
Or what about underneath an electric service?
I suspect one needs to have some space around a service so you can access it and so you're not
They
touching
required
everything.
that you, what
Why
type
it's
of
not an
electrical
extra
service was it? Was it a panel, or does it show in the picture?
Yeah. It's the
Is it
meter.
just the conduit?
Yeah, it's the meter. The
Oh.
service, the weatherhead's right there on the...
Okay. If it was an electrical panel, like in a house, you'd need 3 feet in front of it, but if it's just the conduit and meter, I don't know if there's a requirement.
It's probably not ideal.
Oh, I see, the shut-offs have to be that close, too.
Right. I'm assuming you wouldn't want the condenser right underneath the meter on the back of the house.
No.
That's probably why that one's out. It looks like an extra foot. The other one.
And just so I understand it, where was the area that had the additional concrete? Was that where the patio, below the patio?
Show you?
Here.
Oh.
Yes, so
Oh, I
everything
see.
at the back of the
I see,
house.
I see.
Yeah, is built on a
So
slab.
you couldn't have run the conduits in the basement or whatever?
I never
Got it.
knew that it was just a replacement of where they were.
Yeah.
And they're actually smaller, and now they abide by the new Freon laws,
Mhm.
which, again, I'm speaking a language I don't know.
I wanted to go back there and climb over your fence, but I was afraid of a dog.
She'll lick you to
Sorry,
death. so
she would
be
never hurt a
careful.
fly, she would just kiss you.
Any other questions, comments, questions for the applicant? Hearing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody that wants to speak for or against this? Seeing no one, we'll close the testimony and have a motion, ask for a motion.
I'll move.
Mr.
Move to
Colon?
recommend granting request for a 6-foot side yard air conditioner condenser setback variation and a 5-foot side yard air conditioner condenser setback variation to permit the retention of 2 air conditioner condensers at 2041 Greenwood Avenue in accordance with the plan submitted.
Second.
So, over the years, we have a lot of these.
Yep.
I mean, the 10 feet between houses is often difficult to achieve, as the homes are very close together. Oftentimes, the same thing happened, this happened here, they get replaced, and then people have to come in and get a variance after the fact. The 5 foot and 6 feet are, I mean, we've approved, 2.5, 3 feet. So, it makes sense to put them where they are. I think the one is out a little bit further because of the electrical issue that Mike was mentioning. I think we have pretty routinely approved these, and so I think it meets the standards of review, and I can support it.
I concur with Mr. Colling. I mean, it's a very standard thing that happens in Wilmette, and especially since you have that basement, you don't have access, it wouldn't make sense to move it any further. I don't even know if you could by code move it much further. So I can
Right.
support it.
I don't see another place that they could position these condensers, so.
Plus, the neighbor to the east, the house is, I think, at least 12 or 15 feet away from your property line, so it's not like they are very close together on that side. Yeah, I have no issue with this also, and we're all set to take the vote on this.
Okay. Mr. Colang,
Yes.
Mr. Sermon,
Yes.
Mr. Boyer,
Yes.
Ms. Norick,
Yes.
Mr. Pelletin,
Yes.
Ms. Choka Urban,
Yes.
Chairman Schneider.
Yes. So that positive recommendation, I think they will probably approve this also on I think, the 24th with the consent agenda, but if you want to be here, you're welcome to go to the Board of Trustees meeting on the 24th.
I move to authorize the chairman to prepare the report and recommendation for the zoning board of appeals for case number 2019 Z30.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Move to approve the meeting minutes for the Zoning Board of Appeals for Wednesday, July 17th, 2019.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Is there any other business? Nobody in the audience wants to
Make a public comment.
make a comment? If not, we shall close the meeting, adjourn the meeting, I should say.
It's going to go on TV now, it looks like.
Now it's going on.
What's happening next?
There we go. Perfect
Really
timing.
funny.